Hi, in this video we're going to talk about the SNAP exam. The details regarding eligibility, the top colleges, the time where it is conducted, the notification and everything you can find given below in the link that you'll find below this video. Despite all the structure that this exam has, students should go in for the exam with a flexible mind because there can be surprise elements as has been seen in the past in the management papers. So even though this video gives you details on how to prepare, have a flexible mind when you go in for the paper. So let's start with the tips and how to prepare for this exam. Let's start let's start with the step 1. Tips and preparation. Start by giving a mock exam. Now this is very crucial and essential. This will tell you where you stand, the kind of paper that you're going to see on December 16th and the level of difficulty that is demanded by the same. You can also solve past papers to get a idea of how this paper goes, and you can find links to a free mock exam and free past papers in the article that we've written on Snap. So the difference that comes between CAT and SNAP is basically in terms of time and in terms of questions. In SNAP you have large number of questions in a slightly lesser time. So basically the difficulty level is lesser and you are expected to solve more questions, which is unlike CAT. And you have around 1.5 months if you have given CAT, so you can go around preparing for SNAP quite easily. And there are some elements that you'll need to fine tune, and it is basically very easy if you have prepared for CAT. So we'll start with GK and how to prepare for the same. GK has two elements, which is current GK and static GK. Static GK is basically when you're talking about history. For example, if you're talking about Indus Valley civilization, that is a part of static GK. But if you're talking about who is the president of India, America, or France, that is current GK, which actually keeps on changing every year. So that forms part of current GK, and you have to prepare for both, sadly enough. Manorma Yearbook 2012 or whichever latest year that you can find caters to both current and static GK, and it covers both these portions quite effectively. Other books that you can refer to is Arihant GK Manual and Pratyogita Darpan. Arihant is again for static GK while Pratyogita Darpan is for current GK. The inclination of Pratyogita Darpan is towards current GK. There are elements of static GK also in the same book. Pratyogita Darpan you can read online for free. The link for the same is again included in the article that we have written. Pagal Guy also has a thread dedicated to find easily on PG, and links and everything again given in the article. The types of questions, there's an inclination towards business questions while the overall GK covers various aspects in itself. But covering business questions and economics questions will help you tide towards away from this section in an easy and effective manner. So coming over to the next section, that is quant. It is basically easy, and arithmetic, algebra and geometry comprise of almost 60 to 70% of the entire paper. If you're prepared for CAT, you'll find the going very easy. The level is just above MAT and way below CAT. You may find a few speed breakers here and there. It's better to avoid them and move on to find the easy questions. And the good book for preparation would be Quantum Cat by Arihant. For this section, it really goes down to the very basics and teaches you mathematics is a very low scale, and then moves on to have higher level questions also. Just going for level 1 and level 2 questions would be more than enough for SNAP if you're preparing from that book. If you're preparing from Arun Sharma, then again level 1 questions and a bit of level 2 questions should see you through SNAP quite easily. Along with this, your past papers can actually really help you to get you an idea of how the level of this section is in particular. Moving on to the next section, we have English. So if you're preparing for vocabulary, Norman Lewis is the holy grail. That is where you should start preparing for the vocabulary. It is the best book out there if you're preparing for vocab. And the questions are not inferential, unlike CAT again. So questions are mostly direct and easy to do. And verbal reasoning, critical reasoning, and grammar questions, these kind of the questions are what form part of English section in Snap. And you should have fair idea of syllogism and time. Logical reasoning books have the best material on logical reasoning, and their syllogism, the way they solve is given structured method in time, and you can refer to the same on how to solve the papers. Well, let's move on to the most difficult section of this paper historically, that is logical reasoning, and the paper is moderate to difficult. They have a propensity towards giving questions from cubes. I don't know what they love about cubes. and the questions of that type, but Snap has a tendency to give a lot of questions on cubes, caselets on cubes. So there are around 4 or 5 caselets if they are given in LR, which contains 30 questions. You should be able to select around 4 caselets and avoid the most difficult one. Go ahead and solve those 4 caselets and you will be fine and sailing through this paper with ease. Or how to prepare for LR? Well, pick up the past papers that have come in Snap. That will give you an idea as to what kind of questions and the question types that have been asked in Snap in particular. Then pick up all those different types and whatever particular questions you can find in Times LR books of that particular type. Go ahead and solve each one of those. It's the most important part is that cat may not you may not have solved different type of questions that may come in Snap because the domain of questions may vary. They, just like I told, they have cubes question. Cat gives cubes questions but not that much, and they're not that frequent. So it would land you in good stead if you can actually go ahead and practice each of these different type of questions. Find those questions in preparation books of service providers and then solve those types of questions. So past papers will pave the way for future in LR. Okay, so these are the questions that actually these are the areas that everyone knows, but how to gain the lead over the competition. So if you're talking about Snap in particular, so English and maths are two areas where there is very little difference between the topper and the 90 or the 80 percentiler. But there are two ways to actually gain the lead over the competition. First is by scoring more marks in quant and, and English, which would be a rarity. But the other way is to getting the earliest possible time. And if you can solve quant and English very easily and very early, you can determine and give that time to logical reasoning section in particular, and that is where you can stretch the lead over the competition. So you may get same marks in quant and English. A 90 percentiler may get the same marks like a 100 percentiler, but if you solve those questions easily, early, you can actually give more time to LR and be able to stretch your lead over the competition. Now that is what is the difference between the topper and the 90 percentiler. And if you have prepared percentages, ratios, and these basic fundamental mathematical chapters well, that will really help you in solving the questions very easily and very fast. And the most important section of this paper has to be LR. After LR has to be GK because it has the maximum marks to time ratio over all these other sections. You can get the maximum amount of marks in the minimal possible time in the GK section. So if your GK is well prepared and you are thorough with it, you can actually score and stretch your lead over the competition, while the time given to GK would be very less. So time management becomes crucial in a paper like Snap, and if you're able to maneuver your time and locate maximum time to the regions that actually require it, solve quant and English fast, give the time to LR, and whatever time to give you give to GK, you do it well and you are able to score well in GK, you can actually stretch your lead over the competition. This happens to be the most important way of tackling this paper as of now. So that is all about Snap. You can go ahead and start preparing for it, and hopefully you'll find that this video was useful. Mock exams, if you want to give for Snap, those are available in the link given below. And all the details that we mentioned in this video are based on past data. It may not remain consistent in the future, but we've tried best to help you. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Thank you.